Well, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a deeply unsettling case that has really gripped public attention. The murder of 11-year-old Jayden-Lee Meek.
Yeah.
We're working from some detailed source material, specifically a recent article titled Jayden-Lee Meek Murder. Cracks in mother's version of events surface, which lays out the initial findings from the ongoing legal proceedings.
What's particularly striking here, I think, is how the state, through its investigating officer, is highlighting a series of inconsistencies in the mother's account. Tiffany Nicole Meek, this is during her bail hearing.
Right.
So our mission today really is to go through these details, try to understand the timeline as the authorities are presenting it, and maybe connect the dots a bit. See why these specific points are so crucial for the prosecution.
Yeah.
You're going to get a very clear picture, I think, of the initial moments of this really complex case.
So the tragic discovery of Jayden-Lee's body was made on May 14th. He was found on a staircase at his home. This is the Swazie's Place complex in Florhoff, southwest Johannesburg. His mother, Tiffany Nicole Meek, she's 31, was arrested later on July 11th. And she faces multiple serious charges. Murder, crime in injuria, which, just for clarity, means intentionally impairing someone's dignity.
Right, that's an important one.
Defeating the ends of justice and attempting to obstruct justice. She apparently appeared quite emotional in the dock during the bail hearing, sometimes shaking her head.
And this raises a really important question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why is the state, right from this bail application stage, focusing so heavily on inconsistencies?
Yeah, what's the strategy there?
Well, it's about establishing a pattern, undermining the defense's narrative right from the very start. The testimony we're looking at today, it comes mostly from Sergeant Nsiba Diko. He's an investigating officer with SAPS, the South African Police Service, and he testified specifically in opposition to Meek's bail.
Right. So let's go back then. May 13th, that's the day before Jayden-Lee's body was found. He was reported missing by his mother, Tiffany, at the Florida police station around 8 p.m. Sergeant Diko testified the police then went with her to search for him.
And right away, almost immediately, we see one of the first discrepancies the state is pointing to.
Okay.
Meek apparently told officers she hadn't been able to communicate with the child's transport driver, Mr. Kumalo, because she didn't have mobile data. Lack of data.
Okay. Seems plausible on its own. Maybe.
Maybe. But then, when the police and Jayden-Lee's family actually went to Kumalo's residence, the driver stated quite clearly that he had dropped the boy off that afternoon.
So that whole no data thing.
Exactly. It immediately creates a potential credibility issue, doesn't it? If she claimed no communication but the driver confirms the drop-off, well, it suggests perhaps an attempt to mislead right from that first interaction.
You can see why the prosecution would jump on that.
Absolutely. It could show an early pattern of deception, potentially.
So, with the transport driver's account already sort of conflicting, the police moved on, verified details at the complex itself. What did they find there?
Right, and that's where another critical piece seems to emerge. An off-duty security guard hadn't seen Jayden-Lee being dropped off, but then they located the on-duty security guard. Now, this guard lived about a kilometer away, but he confirmed he had opened the gate for the child that day.
So that's confirmation Jayden-Lee made it to the complex.
It strengthens that, yes. And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The mother reportedly disputed this security guard's version, even though he maintained his account. And they also visited another child, the one who was last to be dropped off by the transport. That boy told police he had opened the door for Jayden-Lee, who then went into the complex.
So you have the driver, the on-duty guard, and another child, all suggesting Jayden-Lee arrived at the complex.
Correct. Multiple points of corroboration for his arrival, yet the mother disputes at least one key witness there, the guard.
So just thinking from an investigative angle, how do police handle these conflicting accounts, especially so early on?
That's a great question. They immediately look for more evidence, right? CCTV, maybe, if it exists. They try to figure out motives. Why might someone lie? In court, they call it material inconsistency.
Material inconsistency.
Yeah, it's about building that pattern again. One mistake, maybe innocent, but a series of conflicting stories, especially on things that seem verifiable, that can really damage credibility.
Makes sense.
It shows how, sometimes the smallest deviations from a consistent story can be the most powerful evidence.
So the search continued until midnight at the complex. But Diko said police didn't search Meek's flat at that point.
Correct. Not at that time. The family, including the mother, then apparently spent the early hours of that morning, May 14th, at the grandmother's place over in Florida.
Okay, now let's fast forward just a few hours. very early morning, May 14th, the day his body was discovered. This is where the timeline gets really, really critical, isn't it?
Absolutely critical.
Mm-hmm.
Daiko revealed that the night shift security guards saw Meek returning to her flat alone at around 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Okay.
And according to this guard's statement, she told him she was just going up to bathe, change clothes, and then head back to the police station.
Right.
The guard then asked her if she could help check vehicles leaving the complex. Just assist him.
Okay, and this leads to a really pivotal moment in the state's version of events, right?
Exactly. According to the security guard's affidavit, so this is a sworn statement, at about 5:30 a.m., Meek told him her Bolt, the ride-sharing car,
Yeah, like Uber.
was outside and she needed to go, saying she was rushing to the police station.
Okay, 5:30 a.m., her ride's here.
But the security guard stated there was no car outside, it was still dark, and he said she just, quote, disappeared into the dark.
No car. Just vanished into the dark. That's eerie.
It is, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, Daiko emphasized that Meek told him, the police officer, that she entered her flat at 05:22 a.m. and left at 05:47 a.m., just after freshening up.
25 minutes.
25 minutes. And Daiko highlighted this crucial point from the guard. As I said earlier, at 5:30 a.m., people who were leaving the complex at the time she was inside her flat, they saw no child. Immediately as she left, the child was seen there.
Wow. So the state is directly linking her departure from the flat, or at least the time she said she left, to the discovery of the body moments later.
Precisely. That timing, 5:22 to 5:47 a.m. inside the flat, and the body being found right after she leaves, combined with the lack of a rideshare car she claimed was there. Well, that's a powerful sequence for the prosecution. It suggests potential staging or, at minimum, misleading information about her movements right before the discovery.
Yeah, you can see how they'd build on that. So shortly after she disappeared, as the guard put it, what happened?
A resident, another person living there, informed the security guard that she'd seen a body on a staircase in one of the buildings.
And it was Jayden-Lee.
It was, found wearing only underwear, tragically, with no pulse. He was rushed to Discovery Hospital nearby, but was declared dead there.
Just awful. And the police observations. The injuries.
Police noted injuries, yes, to his forehead, chin, neck, arms, and his right leg. And then, when police subsequently did search Meek's flat.
Right, which they hadn't done the night before.
Correct. They found blood on the boy's bed. A pillow was seized as evidence. There was also blood found on the mattress itself.
Blood on his bed. Inside the flat. But he was found outside on a staircase.
Exactly.
That is profoundly unsettling. It just throws a whole different light on everything, suggesting the crime scene might be completely different from where he was found.
Precisely. That's a critical point for the prosecution, you'd imagine. Finding that kind of evidence inside the flat on his bed when the body was discovered outside, it immediately suggests that whatever happened might have started or even finished inside the home.
Right.
This disconnect, it's a huge red flag for investigators. It forces them to question the mother's entire account of events leading up to that point.
And there was one final inconsistency Daiko mentioned, wasn't there? About where she said she was going.
Yes, another piece. Daiko stated that Meek's claim later on that she was heading to her other's house contradicted what she had told the security guard just before she left the complex.
Which was that she was rushing to the police station.
Correct. Just another conflicting detail in the sequence of events she provided.
And it's important, as you said, to note that throughout this bail hearing testimony, Meek appeared emotional.
Yes, the reports mention her being emotional, shaking her head at times. And we also know from the source material that just last week, she formally denied killing her son. She also rejected allegations that she'd been abusive towards him in the past.
So the case is obviously far from over. It's set to continue.
Absolutely. This is just the state laying out its initial arguments for denying bail.
We've just taken a deep dive there into this really intricate timeline and the state's initial case against Tiffany Nicole Meek, focusing on those, well, compelling inconsistencies highlighted during her bail hearing. It's a lot to process, isn't it?
It really is. The details laid out by Sergeant Daiko, from the differing accounts about the transport driver, the security guards, then those precise timings around 4 a.m. to 5:47 a.m., and crucially, the physical evidence found inside the flat. It all paints a very specific narrative for the court to consider, doesn't it? These are exactly the kinds of details that show you how carefully the prosecution builds its case in these initial stages. It often relies on the sheer weight, the cumulative effect of all these small discrepancies.
Right, undermining the defendant's version piece by piece.
Exactly, to challenge their narrative.
So, thinking about this, what does this initial presentation of evidence really reveal about the pursuit of truth in a legal case? Especially when the strategy seems to hinge so heavily on picking apart inconsistencies in a timeline. What really stand out to you about how these tiny, seemingly verifiable details can become the absolute bedrock of a prosecution's case? And